One more question for you.
Yeah.
How does it feel to being 21? What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. Remote. We're on location. We're out here at Davis Diamond getting ready for the regional, the Bryan-College Station Regional of the NCAA Softball Tournament. We got to talk to some players, some coaches today, got to see some practice. It is really humid out here. Tyler, what was the kind of overall things that you heard from the players, saw today that intrigues you the most about this regional?
Yeah, other than it being super hot right now.
So hot.
Which should be an advantage for A&M because all these teams are not coming from those kind of hot climates. They're on the East Coast. But I guess the main overall thing is their focus and their kind of singular goal, where you can almost tell they've got that mindset of, I mean, they have that motto that they said 4 more outs, because that's how close they were to going to the Women's College World Series last year, and they were a 16 seed in that one. Mm-hmm. They advanced out of the regional. They went to the number 1 seed Texas and took them to a Game 3 winner take all and came close to beating them. Obviously didn't quite get over that hump. So they were close last year. Well, they're a lot better this year. They know that's the goal. Get to Oklahoma City. But they know, and like they've been doing all year, they're not getting ahead of themselves. They're living in the moment. This is going to be a very interesting regional, because when you just look at the names and who they're hosting. I mean, this isn't SEC teams or even any Power 5 teams. In fact, their first opponent, St. Francis, is moving down to Division III. Mm-hmm. So it's just very different teams, and they're used to playing. Things might get a little weird in a game or two. Diamond sports, that happens. But they're ready for it, and they're ready to dominate.
Yeah, I think some interesting storylines all around. When you look at, we were talking about this on the way over. They have some lovely little stat portals for us journalists to use. The NCAA does. And they have a little function where you can put all 4 teams and stack up all of their team stats, individual stats, and see who's better. Usually when you have one of these regionals where the number 1 seed is so far above the other teams in the regional that they'll be dominating the stat categories. But Liberty and actually Marist is 2 teams that have a lot of really good stats. Now, I know. On the way over, you said, yeah, but who did they play? And that's a really good point. But Marist, a lot of power. They have a hitter, and I just forgot her name, but she leads the country in batting average with over 500 batting average. I mean, there's some skill there.
Right.
You got to be able to.
No matter who you're playing, if you're hitting 500, that's good.
Well, there's some good pop on the St. Francis team. Now, don't get me wrong. A&M is the number 1 overall seed. They should by far come out of this region. But there's no rollovers maybe in this one. St. Francis fighting for their last D1 season. All 3 of them conference champions. In fact, there was only one mid-major at-large bid into the tournament. It was either your Power 4 team or you're a conference champion, and that's it. So they've had to roll through a conference tournament and get to where they are in this tournament.
I think Texas A&M, they're a kind of a number 1 seed where if you can somehow fly under the radar, they felt that a little bit when they got their first number 1 ranking earlier in the season. They felt like people weren't talking about them. But they're a team that they also just don't have any weaknesses. I would have said last year that probably their biggest weakness was pitching support outside of Emily Kennedy when you got that All-American. They do have better pitching support. Now, that's going to be something as they progress through this tournament will be interesting to keep an eye on.
Well, the pitching support is interesting, too, because Emily Kennedy actually last year was a lot better statistical year than this year. Now, don't get me wrong. She's been really good this year. Mm-hmm. But she was like almost a whole run down in ERA last year. This year, they've been able to do it with some different arms.
Yeah, and I think that's great for a team that needs to go far and wants to make it to the very end of the season. You're going to need a team built like that you can throw different arms out there. Maya Perez is a big difference maker. And she's kind of the reason they even were in the position they were in last year, because they kind of outkicked their coverage a little bit. I mean, they made it a little farther than they should have last year, and that was because of the emergence of Maya Perez.
Yeah, she stepped up. Most of her appearances last year were in pinch hitting appearances, including in the regional last year. But it was right now, at the start of the NCAA tournament, that she actually kind of was able to start making her mark on this team. And we asked Trisha Ford a little bit about what the difference was last year to this year, and she said she's watched Maya Perez since she was 12. And the Maya Perez that everybody's seen this season is the one that she's seen since she was 12. It was actually last year that was kind of the anomaly, and just a lot of buildup of confidence. And you could see that coming into fruition last year in the regional, and then especially in the super regional, where she was put in the starting lineup and started to make impacts when they were 4 outs away from the College World Series. Now this year, stats just far and above anything that she did last year. She's leading the team in several categories and kind of has been a little bit of the heart and soul of this offense. And so I think she's a huge part about what's different about last year's team that was the 16 seed and this year's team that's the 1 seed.
Well, and if through Trisha Ford's eyes, like you said, it wasn't the emergence of Maya Perez, almost the re-emergence, like you said, an anomaly of her not playing to this level, because the level she's playing at now, Trisha Ford said, I knew this was Maya. This is what she is. And it's kind of interesting to think about with the step up that she made last year in the postseason. We're about to start the postseason here. I mean, with how well she has played this year, it's crazy to think about what this team is capable of if she hits another gear. And then to think you got a bat like Mac Barbara there too, that at any given time can just unleash. I mean, we were watching BP, just those little soft lobs that they're doing, and I mean, she was hitting the fence back there, like
almost, yeah.
I'm talking about the fence of the practice field back there. I mean, it was just effortless. I mean, she has got quite the bat, power hitting. So if all of these things kind of click together at the same time, this is going to be a very, very dangerous postseason team.
And Perez is only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, usually you have that kind of numbers emergence junior, senior year. She's only a sophomore. I mean, they talk about being an anomaly. That was an anomaly in a freshman year. Like,
right.
you get that.
Had never played in the SEC before. And
right.
Yeah. So she is very, very comfortable. I think that's going to be a huge difference maker. This team's whole mindset just seems like this is a team that's locked in. They know what the goals are. That they're going to get there. It does not seem like kind of what, I don't mean to take away from softball right now, but when we're talking about the baseball team, who started the year kind of in the position the softball is right now, number 1 team with those expectations, they kind of, it seems from the outside that they let that pressure kind of take over.
Yeah.
That they had that weight on their shoulders to be the number 1 team. This team is a team I don't feel like they have that pressure.
Hey y'all, it's Max, and if you've been watching the pod, you know this by now, that we have a new official sponsor of the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. And it is a familiar face. You know him, you have seen him around Aggieland for many, many years. Say hello to C&J Barbecue. Now, I don't know if there are many of you out there, but if you live in the Brazos Valley and you have not been to C&J Barbecue yet, what on earth are you guys doing? The crew at C&J started out smoking just about 20 pounds of meat a day in a tiny gas station on a Harvey Road. Now, they serve over 2,200 pounds every single day across 3 locations. So you know it's good. They've fed President Bush, catered for Willie Nelson. Yeah, Willie. But most importantly, they've been feeding Aggies and locals for over 40 years. In fact, I had myself some at a catering event last weekend, and the brisket was absolutely amazing. Don't even get me started on the sides and the appetizers, because Justin is always cooking up some amazing stuff. Just get there, see, smell, and taste for yourself. Tell them the guys sent you. C&J Barbecue, a family tradition.
Right, and you know what a big factor of that is? It's Trisha Ford. I mean, you go back in her career, her 3rd season at Fresno State, they make the NCAA tournament, which is a big deal for Fresno State. Her 2nd season at Arizona State, they make the College World Series. Now she's in her 3rd season at A&M. It's fitting that pattern that if everything falls into place, this should be a College World Series team. This should be a team, the first team to make it back to Oklahoma City since 2017. You know, we walk along the hallways of Davis Diamond here, and most of the teams, most of the pictures that they have on the wall is that contingent from that 2017, 2018 year, the Torrey Vidales, the Riley Sartons, those players. that's the last time that they've made it to the College World Series, and this is a program that has 2 NCAA titles under their belt early on in the 80s. It seems like everything is geared up that this should be a team to run the course.
Yeah, I mean, since she's gotten here, they have taken significant steps up each year. Short of a national championship, there's not many more steps you can take from here. I mean, it's only year 3, and here they are, the number 1 overall seed. I don't know, is there anything this weekend you think that we will see that would be, I don't know, any concerns to you, or you see something like, I'm looking out for this as they progress through the postseason?
I think the only things that should stick out in this is, if heaven forbid anybody gets injured, you don't want injuries at this time of the year that could cause some trouble down the line. But Liberty has some pretty decent pitching if they get to face them in the later rounds, but this is a A&M offense that is absolutely elite. The only way that I see a team keeping up with them if they find a way to slug with them, because A&M's pitching hasn't necessarily done a great job of keeping traffic off the base paths. They've allowed a pretty decent amount of hits. They've allowed, their whip is a little bit high. They've walked some batters, but they find that way to leave runners stranded. If one of these teams can slug with them and try to and get a few of those across the plate, that's how I see a team maybe upsetting A&M. But this should be A&M's. I was looking at Warren Nolan. They had some percentages. A&M was like the 4th highest team, number 1 seed that they should be able to get out of the region. I just think that this, when you are the number 1 seed, it should be a cakewalk to the super regionals, and it seems like every bit that should be the case here.
Yeah.
I wanted to real quick throw in there. I know we are recording this at 6 o'clock on Thursday, so there's an A&M baseball game going on right now. Last we checked, they were up 3-0 in the top of the 3rd. Haven't checked back yet. We're gonna, since this is gonna go up quickly, let's fly by the seat of our pants. Let's say A&M wins the series.
Okay.
Is that enough to get them into the tournament?
So that would put them at
12, at least 12 wins.
12 wins if they get 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
If they sweep, that puts them at 13. I would think they need to complement that with a strong SEC tournament run. I think if you win the series, you're obviously in a better position. I don't know if that's enough being swept, when that's butted up against what they just did last weekend. So that definitely puts them back in a conversation. You obviously need to win just to have any sort of hope, other than winning it all in Hoover. But then it comes to the question of, well, how much do games in Hoover really matter outside of winning the whole thing?
Yeah, I don't know how much they do. I think if they do sweep, if they're able to sweep the number 1 seed in the final regular season series, that covers up last week. You have the worst team in the league that you got swept by. You sweep the number 1 RPI team. I think those cancel each other out. And before the Missouri series, they were in.
Yeah.
So I think that's enough to put them in. That should bump their RPI enough back to be in that low 40s, mid 30s range. If they can get under 30, as we know, that's usually 100% in. If they can get to 13 wins, that's about a third of the percentage gets in. I think if they sweep, I think it's what's going to be really tough luck is if they just win the series. If they take 2 out of 3, that's going to put them, and that's what I think it was like. 3 out of 17 teams since 2019 or 1999, have gotten in since with 12 wins.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I don't know how much the conference tournament's going to. I think everything rides on this series this weekend, and I think they're going to need to. For sure win the series, but probably sweep.
Yeah, I think you're right. Honestly, you're going to need a sweep to be in that conversation because they've got some great wins on their resume. They also have some really bad losses, so they're going to need everything they can. And obviously, there's still the way to get in for sure is going taking care of business and winning the whole thing in Hoover, which it's not unheard of. I mean,
right.
Teams. It's not always the team that wins the regular season wins the conference tournament. So. Crazier things have happened.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
How does it feel to being 21?
Yeah, it is my birthday.
It is your birthday today.
Officially legal, is that what this
Officially
is?
legal.
My
You can go out and drink now.
Yeah.
So,
I
congrats
woke
to
up,
you.
my back was hurting this morning, my neck, because, 21 is so old.
Yeah. So,
Thanks, man.
yeah, you're welcome.
I'm sure I look 21.
yeah,
so.
I'm not going to answer that. So that's all we have here out at Davis Time. We need to get this guy to his birthday dinner. So be sure to check KBTX.com. KBTX tonight, we have, it'll be online by the time you see this. We had an interview with St. Francis assistant coach
that was cool too.
Mel Savala, who is a Rudder graduate. Went to Bryan and also Rudder, played softball there. Now she's up at St. Francis. We'll have that on KBTX.com if you want to see a little bit more of that story. And we'll have coverage from here from Davis Diamond all week. Nicole Griffith is up in Waco for the tennis championships up there, so we'll have more of that. Check KBTX.com. My mouth is really dry because we've been out in the heat all day, so we're going to end it there. For Tyler Shaw and Max Crawford, who's not here, I'm Travis Brown. This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. We'll see you next week.